Good evening. Welcome to another Conversations in the Void. I am Graveyard, joined by my ever-hidden off-screen producer, Salem, here in the comments below. So make sure to hit him up there and say hi to Salem in the chat below. But I'm so excited to introduce the guests that we have for tonight. I had the pleasure of watching their movie, which was perfect timing for the upcoming holidays and just around the corner here in a couple of days. They are the sick and twisted minds of Woof Films, and they brought you such classics as Infrared and the Christmas tapes. So without further ado, Rob Livings and Randall Nundlall. I hope I said that close.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah.
So how you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I had the distinct pleasure of talking to you guys a couple of weeks ago for something that was a blast. You know, saw some familiar names in there as well. So I was excited to have you guys on board here for tonight.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. We appreciate it.
Yes. So without further ado, let's get some of these really hard questions, right? So, you know, kind of just to get to know you guys a little bit, what movie really brought you guys into the world of horror, do you think? Do you remember that movie?
I mean, for me, it has to be Scream, just because I think I was 10, and my auntie, who was visiting from England, who I didn't know that well, and she was like, "Hey, let's watch this movie." I'm like, "Okay, that sounds." Well, she's like, "My kids love it," and I was like, "Her kids are younger than me. That's great." And so yeah, my mom wasn't too pleased, but it got me on the slasher train at least, and we went straight out and got Halloween H2O and went down that way. So that was probably my first big one, other than seeing scenes from The Dentist late night on TV and scaring me when I was younger. Yeah.
Yes, the good old Dentist. Love that.
You know what the irony is? When I was 10, I watched Scary Movie before I watched Scream. So,
oh wow,
parallels here. That scene in the stall with the.
Yep.
Can I swear in here?
Oh, absolutely.
The dick going through the ear. That was probably my foray into horror. So
that's awesome. For me, my first Halloween movie that wasn't edited for TV was Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, and I was hooked ever since. Love that movie.
That's the only one I haven't seen. So
Paul Rudd's first movie. Come on.
I know. I remember starting it one time, but I haven't seen that one the whole way through. So I gotta get that.
Oh, absolutely. There's two different versions: the good one and the really bad one. The good one is really bad as well. So. All right. So, do you remember was Scream also then your first horror movie, and Randy was Scary Movie your first horror?
I can't remember what my first horror is. Because to be honest, when I was growing up, I wasn't into horror. I feel like I really got more into horror the last few years. I don't know what one of the earliest ones I can remember is the Others.
Yes.
I can mention the Others.
Yeah, I was quite young, but I don't think it was my first. But that's my earliest memory.
Nice.
Yeah, for me it was, so my mum was into horror, but obviously I was 10, so and my dad hated it, so she just never watched it. And she found out that it didn't really affect me all that much, so she had someone she could take to the movies. So I got to go see more movies. I like going to the movies. So I remember very quickly she took me to see Sam Raimi's The Gift.
Yes.
Not a great film, hasn't aged well, but it was cool seeing that as a kid. And then also, but The Others was the other one. That was oh shit, this is supernatural horror done well. Mm-hmm. And then that's a movie that holds up really, really well today. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously things switched later on, and I was dragging her to Saw and Hostel and stuff like that.
As well, you should.
as you should. Yeah. So, but no, I think that very much kind of shaped that. And then obviously there's the indie horror films. I loved the Butcher Brothers, The Hamiltons. I think it's my favorite vampire film. And I'm not a huge vampire guy, but I think from seeing a movie that can be made for just a few $1,000 and made effectively, when I was dabbling with the idea of getting into filmmaking, I think that was a huge inspiration. And yeah, so I think I recommend The Hamiltons to anybody. But that was definitely one of those influential ones for sure.
Nice. So this is a fun question. I like to hear people's hot takes on this. What is the most overrated horror IP, whether it be movie, TV show, comic? What do you guys think?
It's such a fucking tough area to go into. Can it be if it's just got the one film, or does it have to be a whole?
Just any one film, yeah. What do you think? People
hate the Babadook. I hate it.
I would agree with it.
And why I don't like it I think it kicked off the grief horror trend, right? Obviously, Ari Aster came and did it well with like Hereditary and stuff like that, and like now that's kind of the phase we're in at the moment.
Right.
But the thing I don't like about the Babadook is it has the early scares and it has a certain tone that works. I think the art department is lazy as fuck, and it just goes in its house. And I get it, single mom struggling, blah blah blah, but it just didn't work. And then the creature looks like Beetlejuice. So everyone in the cinema I was in laughed when it came out, and it's like that stop motion-y type thing, and it just wasn't. And what's funny is her next film, The Nightingale, was my favorite film of that year.
Oh, so she did it?
Yeah, which is such an amazing film. I mean, that's survival horror at its like darkest, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But it's so it's got nothing to do with her as a filmmaker at all. Like as I said, like everyone from like bottom of the film year list to like top of the year. But yeah, I just think the Babadook for me is that one that people talk about, and I don't get it. And I know I'm the minority, and I'm happy to accept when I'm the minority. I don't like Lord of the Rings, so like I know when I'm in the minority.
Yeah. For me, I'm probably going to piss some people off by saying this. Friday the 13th.
All of them?
I've only seen 2 of them, but I just really don't get the hype.
6 is the best. I think most people will agree.
Yeah.
I'll watch 6.
But
I've
that's
only
like
seen
saying
the first one. Like there was a remake.
Michael Bay's Dune Platinum. Yeah. That was okay.
It was fun.
Okay.
I think I see what you're saying though. Like the first one is terrible. I watched the first
it's just
4 recently, and it gets okay by about 3, and 4 is pretty good. But I could see why people don't want to watch more. It's like I watched the first 2 seasons of Parks and Rec, and my brother's like, "Oh, you got to get to the 3rd." I was like, "But I've watched 2."
Yeah.
Like I don't think so. Yeah, I get that.
So we should say that I should get rid of my Jason tattoo.
Jason's cool.
No,
right.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, what's the most underrated horror for you guys that doesn't get enough love and attention that it should?
For me, it would have to be Audition, the Japanese.
Yep.
I really, really like that film. It makes you uneasy. I thought the acting was really good. I remember when I first started watching it, I was like, "Oh, this seems kind of cheap. I'm not really into this." But yeah, it really picks up, and I don't think enough people mention it. Just the ending scene. So.
Oh yeah,
I can still remember the sounds.
The squishes and
soaring sounds.
Yep. Over you, Rob.
I think Lake Mungo, I think is the creepiest. I think it's the most under your skin film that I've seen. It just gets you, and the fact that it loops everything in, justifies everything, and then flips everything on its head, and it's just. I think it's great. And I know within the found footage world, like it's either loved or hated, but those who love it understand. Being from Australia and knowing that it was an SBS documentary really helped sell it as like a real thing. But the other one, honestly, I think it's more just because it's not really so much seen as a horror film. I think Requiem for a Dream should be in the horror category. I think that film is fucked.
It's absolute psychological thriller. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that's as in underrated for not being called a horror film versus those.
Awesome.
What about you?
Question.
No, I want your answer. Yeah.
All right. So I always get the hot take is the most overrated is The Exorcist.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I just don't like possession movies. I mean, I feel like it's hard for me to judge, but yeah.
Yeah, it's we recently did a podcast, but we did all The Exorcist, including number 2, which was just awful. And I'm just going, it's 50 years later. How's this the most terrifying movie of all time? And we think it's just because it's that Chinese telephone game where you hear from people that watched it in theaters 50 years ago and said this is the most terrifying movie ever, and then we just say, oh, they're just parodying and copying now what the older generation is saying. And now the newer generation getting into horror is still saying it's the scariest movie ever made. So, yeah, and for me,
that was the movie where Blumhouse decided to break the bank. Just felt a bit weird.
That probably got our lowest rating ever on any movie so far. Was Believer. Most underrated. I think a lot of people gave Beau is Afraid a lot of crap.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was-
that's a great.
Is that horror?
It
I-
is.
It becomes one.
It's the if you take Bo's life, it is you look at New York, it's what everyone thinks New York City is like, and it's the worst case scenario of everything he sees.
Okay.
Also, a giant penis monster attacks him.
Giant
So, I
penis
mean,
monster, balls,
yeah. So, yeah, that's our hot takes here. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Let's talk about Wolf Cat films. How did this happen?
Randy,
Rob, I'll let you.
we've been working together a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd been talking about like doing a film, and it was one of those things where I think we were just so busy, and then COVID hit, and we were like kind of then caught in that catch-22 of, we can't really go anywhere, but we also want to make a movie. So the first film we made wasn't a horror movie at all. It was very much a throwback to the early 2000 mumblecore movies.
Mm-hmm.
We shot on the same cameras, we shot on tape, which we thought would be like cool, but then streamers are like, nah. So luckily there's upres software out there. But so yeah, we made this movie, and so we made this film for very much nothing during COVID, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And then we were we were having all these horror guests because we work for a film school for adults with disabilities. So during COVID, we were getting as many people as we could to talk to our students.
Mm-hmm.
And all these horror people kept saying yes. And then I guess we got in touch with, I reached out to Greg Sestero's publicist because our students are fans of The Room. And then I hit it off with the publicist. And then we got Greg on, and we found that Greg had been in post-production on Miracle Valley for a while, which was his directorial debut. It's a horror movie. Yeah. And he was just kind of like a little over just sitting in post-sound and post all this stuff. And I asked Travis, do you think he'd come out and do a film with us? Because his family doesn't live too far from us. And so he asked, and he said yes. So we were kind of like, all right, cool. So we came up, we had infrared. It was kind of a loose idea. And once we knew what we had available, we got the locations we needed. And then, it kind of just led into that. And that's how we fell into horror. I always wanted to do horror. Randy, you always want to do like crime thrillers, right? I don't. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of like, it happened because we had a need to make something during COVID. And we had an opportunity to work with someone. And once we worked with Greg, that opened doors to working with other people. And Christmas Tapes honestly just came about because Greg really had fun playing that character in Infrared. So we were like, we can figure out a way to bring him back without it being a sequel, because we didn't want to like link the movie so people had to watch them. Right. And then, so we just gave Greg another chance to go nuts, poorly handling a gun.
Yeah, he did great. I absolutely loved him in the Christmas Tapes. And I saw, that's one of my questions too. I'm like, I want to know, because I haven't had a chance to watch Infrared yet. I have break from work next week. I plan on watching that as well. I just wonder, like, how did he get him? And just like, he's playing the same character. And my question was, is he going to be seen as a constant in the Wolf Cat universe? Without spoiling anything.
Cat universe. Yeah, we have an idea for another film where he plays the same character. I don't know if we can.
It's probably be more a comedy. No, we do. We had this idea where he would be, because he hasn't been front and center yet. I know he's the face of Christmas Tapes, but he's the wraparound. Right. We thought it'd be funny if he was a really bad hitman. So we're kind of working with we're working on that at the moment. But that's something that's kind of in our back pocket. It's more, they're the kind of films that we shoot off the hip, where that'll be something that we'll all go out and just have some fun with, and we'll kind of figure it out. Whereas right now we've got 3 other films in the pipeline. One we're already shooting that you're appearing in. But then hopefully getting Forbidden Sky off the ground, which is that with Greg, which is one that he's written. So the next Jeff movies might be a bit of a while away, but we would love to do Jeff the Hitman if we get the opportunity.
That's awesome.
That title. The title's terrible and great at the same time. So
yeah. I think it's great because I know some of the same circles. Dylan Brown, Josh Bruckner. I've talked to them a lot too, and it seems like COVID was that creative outlet that people need to really kick off this new wave of indie horror films, and it's amazing to see. Quite honestly, it seems like this resurgence is back, and I love it to no end.
Yeah. And the indie horror crowd is so amazing as well. Like people will watch the films. They're forgiving of lower budgets, and that's what you don't get in other genres. And it's just, it's really, really cool. Yeah.
So how did you guys get into filmmaking? Is it something that you guys went to school for, something you studied, or just something you kind of just jumped into during COVID?
When I was a teenager, I actually wanted to do game design because I was like the story elements of that. But at the time, one of my dad's friends said, "Hey, you should do filmmaking," which I also liked film a lot. So he's like, "You should do filmmaking. It's easier to get into," which is kind of ironic. So I used to make films with my friends, and then eventually, my media studies teacher said I should consider doing it for college. So from there, I went to film school and. Yeah, then I moved to America, worked for a while. Then I met some friends, and through those friends, I met Rob, and here we are today. So,
Nice.
And then, I kind of really got into filmmaking. I didn't realize it was like an opportunity because my school didn't have media in high school. But I had a really good, what do you call them? School counselor, careers counselor. Shout out to Mrs. Alice. Who got me into like community TV and just got me meeting with the right people who I was going to go to like I guess what you call like a nice uni. And he was like, no, go to like a trade school. This one, you'll be hands-on and you'll learn film this way. And I went to a school where we shot everything on film. We recorded all audio and tape. And that was like the starting point. And I kind of fell into producing there. And then I finished up at a college because I always knew that I wanted to live in the US at some point. And if you have a degree in Australia, you can get a visa in America. So it's like there's this whole thing. So it all worked out really, really well. But I wanted to make films. I made a couple of no budget features in Australia right before I moved over as well, which was kind of the format we followed for first movie, The Other Girl. And then, we're always still playing in that field. But it was, I've always wanted to make movies. I think Donnie Darko was the biggest inspiration there, just seeing a 23-year-old kid could pull off a movie like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, if people scarred hard enough, they'll see some of my early videos and skits I did when YouTube started in 2008. So they're out there for me. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's great to hear. Like, you know, it's nice to see a passion driving you here to do great things. I love to see that. Really do. So tell us a little bit about your script process without giving too much away. You know, I know you have scripts obviously, but do you let the actors kind of do more improv? Do you have like a hard set script for them?
So usually Rob will come up with the general idea and then start doing the outline. He'll start doing the outline and then I'll go in and start saying, okay, let's like refine this kind of stuff, and this character might not do this and blah blah blah. But we give the actors a lot of freedom with the lines and stuff, but we usually have a start point and an end point. So we know the general direction where the film's going. And sometimes actors will come up with stuff and we're like, okay, I'll take a note. We have to bring that back later. Some of our best moments have come from the actors coming up with their own stuff.
Yeah, me and Randy we don't clash. It's like we kind of have our things and we never planned it that way. It's just kind of like, all right, we brainstorm. I pitch an idea to Randy. Randy goes, that's ridiculous. He thinks about it and goes, actually, let's do
Christmas
that.
tapes was that. He was like, how about Jeff turns up to someo's house with a box of VHS tapes on Christmas Eve? I was like, that's dumb. And then
he said it's dumb. It worked out really well. Because I usually start it with "Hear me out," but then so we develop the beats together, and then I'll like expand the outlines, and then he'll go through and he'll do the editing of the outlines, which kind of makes it make more sense. I kind of like spew the ideas, and he tightens it. It helps. Randy is a screenwriting instructor, so it's really nice. But yeah, the films that we've worked on, most of the time, it's like we have such precise like ideas of what we want to happen in the scene, but the dialogue isn't. So the dialogue is very much there and open to interpretation. Most of what you see, we very rarely do more than 3 takes, because after that, the improvisation becomes stale and it becomes people starting to remember what they've done. Usually the second take is what you get. First, they're filling it out. Second, they hit all the beats. And we'll also work with our actors. This is still part of the writing process. Like we'll speak to our actors separately on set and give them their different motivations, so they don't know what the motivations of the other characters are sometimes, and it keeps it a little bit more natural. And that's something that I've done since my first films, and I think we've found that it does work. Obviously, there's scenes without dialogue; they're completely scripted. We know we're blocking those, and we know what's happening. But if there's dialogue, there's definitely freedom, because we want the actors to feel as a part of the film creatively as we are. Because when you don't have a lot of money invested in a film, you want that creativity investment. So, yeah.
So, were they really unnerved by, the seance being done in one of the last films of the Christmas tape? Like, did they not know what he was going to say?
That was the hardest. Everyone on set has had to laugh. I went straight to the Conjuring tape scene. I think at that point, like, Dave is just so funny. Like, we had all the crew were putting on, like, this was out, I think tapes was outside of COVID, and we had all the crew putting on masks because we were just laughing so much. And it's unprofessional, but you can't help it when he's like talking about farting ghosts and like, yeah. And so we were putting off the other guy. So yeah, it wasn't unnerving. It was just trying to keep a straight face without people looking like they're trying to keep a straight face. Because
but Dave never laughed. He always stayed in character. Like when he's talking about his family dying and he's holding the ornament. I remember Ian, who played Ian, he already wanted to laugh, and Rob was laughing and like shaking the camera. And Ian, I'm trying not to laugh, and I'm looking away, and I look back, and Ian's turning around, just like grinning at me because he couldn't. He really wanted to laugh. So that's probably one of the hardest scenes I've had to film, if I'm honest.
Well, originally that scene I think we had Ian. It was Ian or Devin was in the shot with him, and we just couldn't. We had to. I turned you hear the cut, and I turn around, and people are like dying, or I'll hear someone leave the room because playing that scene straight is just so stupid. And it just worked so well. So yeah, no, that was definitely not creepy, but still tough. Yeah,
I don't know how he kept a straight face when he's digging into his pocket for his nuts to eat.
Came out of nowhere. That was one of those moments where, like,
did he bring his own nuts?
He brought his own nuts, put it in his pocket. I think Devin as well. She was like, she just laughing because no one knew that was coming.
Dave is so invested in the films as well. Like, and I think this is a story you'll get from a lot of filmmakers. Like, there was the pentagram, like he made that. Like that was his idea, not just as a dialogue, but as a thing. And then also like the ornament that's all like fucked up, like that was something that he made and didn't tell Devin. It's obviously the first tape we can't use. It's the funniest thing ever. Right. But he would consistently go, he's like, give me 5 minutes, and then he would come back.
You know what? With the pentagram, we set it up, and he was like, no, let's like do it properly, and like he was taking a very long time to arrange the lights and making us look bad. So.
But he still talks to us, and we're still working with him, so it all works out. Yeah,
awesome. Will we find what's in the other advent boxes of the calendar?
Maybe one day. Save that for the Santa sequel.
Yeah,
the Christmas tapes too. We have to wait to see if there's an audience yet for the Christmas tapes. It didn't this year. I think this year it's finding its audience, which is nice. We're getting a lot more traction, a lot more people reaching out, a lot more reviews. I think last year it maybe just came out too close to Christmas, and then it's a seasonal film. So we'll wait and see. If the numbers call for it, we would have so much fun doing another one, whether it's all us again, whether we invite other filmmakers in for stories. But it would be fun to at least revisit Jeff and Perry in a Christmas situation for sure.
Yeah, and I have to ask because my Austrian producer is a huge Vernon Wells fan.
Yep,
absolutely huge because Mad Max, right?
Of course.
What was like working with Vernon? He seemed like so awesome, and it seemed like he's just having such a blast doing the film too.
He was lots of fun. You know what? I don't think we gave him much direction. He would do a take, and we're like, "That was good. Just do the same thing, right?" Yeah.
He got the part. Like, I mean, we had a phone call with him. He basically said yes because I was Australian, which was really nice. He's like, yeah, you Aussies don't fuck around, and we're gonna have fun on set. And I was like, okay, great, love it. And then like we basically we shot all his stuff in one day. We pick him up from his hotel. And then just I got to drive around with him all day. He was the most lovely human ever. He did all the promos. He flew out for the premiere, did signings and all this other stuff. Like he's as professional as they come. And we talk about that. Like obviously we're talking about the Jeff character and Perry because they are like their characters are, you could reuse them again. His character's kind of a one and done deal. But no, he's absolutely fantastic and as cool as they come and has stories for days. So like, and is happy to indulge in absolutely anything. And he's very, very funny.
Did you discuss the Wolf Sanctuary at all?
Wolf Sanctuary? Oh wait, no, yes, we did. Yeah, he just done something with some people from some Power Rangers. Because obviously he was in Power Rangers as a villain, and they've done a big Wolf Sanctuary thing. That's like his massive passion now. So which is awesome.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd love to see his character. I love to see Mr. and Mrs. Claus again too. I really would.
Laurie's the best. You're gonna love her in Infrared, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so without giving too much spoilers, what's next for you guys? What can we expect to see? Can you give us titles at all, or no?
I can toe that line, Randy.
Yeah.
I mean,
IMDb.
It's on IMDb. So The Conjuring, we're doing another anthology film. That wasn't our plan originally. We kickstarted successfully with Greg for a film called Forbidden Sky. And then obviously the SAG thing happened. So that's been delayed. Hopefully we can get into that next fall. So we were just like, we don't want to sit around waiting and doing nothing. So we are doing, we're doing the Conjuring tapes, which is essentially another anthology. And it also is something that gives us time to really kind of hone in on different skill sets we want to do for each type of film. Like we've got the faux doc, we've got some stuff that's scripted as well, which is like regular shot, and then most of it's found footage, and like even some screen life stuff, like the stuff that you're part of. So we're really going to, it's kind of us just practicing and honing our skills, but also making something fun. And we've shot one full segment already for that, and we're in the second one now. And then after that, it's Randy. I mean, I pitch Randy new ideas every day. And so, we're getting there. I have a creature feature that I'm writing with a friend in Australia, which I would love to do. I don't know if that's going to be Wolf Cat quality because it's very, very B movie, but it's, we just
tell him what it was called.
No, that'll get stolen. It's too good of an idea. An idea is too good to share.
Yeah. So watch out for that one.
Watch out for that one. But definitely Conjuring tapes, and then we're looking at doing kind of a more artsy, slow burn, little character horror as well. That isn't anything like what we've done yet. Something where we can really kind of play with style, and push further away. Because all of our stuff is really dialogue driven, and we want to kind of do something that's a little bit more visual and storytelling. So in that sense, yeah.
Nice. Now, do you ever foresee you taking if you're doing anthologies, do you ever see taking one of those short films and make it a feature length as a whole?
Actually, with the Paranormal Perry segment, people have been asking for a feature version, and we have discussed ideas for that.
Ooh.
So, like Rob was saying earlier, if the Christmas tapes finds that audience, that's something we're more than happy to explore.
Yeah, and Dave's part of that conversation as well. He's constantly pitching us ideas for that. So, hopefully we'll see more of his nuts.
There you go. I'd love to see Paranormal Perry's Ghost Hunters.
Yeah,
as a show, just like he'd be a perfect parody for Ghost Hunters too.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Or like filming the night of his family's demise as well.
Well, we are approaching quickly approaching the time here. So let's get into these hard questions. You ready?
Okay.
Oh,
trivia.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh,
I'm happy for you to go first, Randy.
I'd probably say Audition. I really like that. I need to revisit it, but that made a big impact on me. So, Audition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd probably say House of the Devil.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
Yeah, Fly West.
Yeah.
I think it was before the big throwback stuff kind of became super popular. I thought it caught me off guard.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right, now practical or CGI?
Practical.
Practical.
Yeah.
So
it looks better and it's less of a headache. If you have the right people, it's less of a headache.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also just like watching Renfield, like such a fun film, but those effects just take you out of the movie completely.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
That's a perfect case study for why practical is better.
I mean, you could also look at, the original John Carpenter's The Thing versus the prequel they made where they did practical, but they, you know what? Just do it all CGI, and it just looks awful and has aged way worse than The Thing has for 40 years later.
I really like The Thing as well. That's a really good film.
That's such a good film.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. If you could work in any IP or franchise, what would it be?
Oh, fuck. Airbud. I'm going to stick with that. Randy, you go.
Oh, shit. Like horror or in general, it's still going to be hard. I don't know.
Yeah. Would you want to do a Paranormal Activity?
I don't think it. Fuck, Is that on the TV as well?
Yes, the first one. This is the third and the fourth.
All classics. Yeah. And you know what? He's probably not joking. I think he would do an Airbud. Oh man, I don't know.
I would love to do a Paranormal Activity. I think that would be fun. I think there's a lot of pressure that comes with going with an IP like that, though.
Right.
Yeah.
It depends how many sequels they have.
Well, I mean, that everyone could do a wrong turn at this point in time, right?
I mean, we would do anything. Like we say, like give us George of the Jungle 3. Like we're not picky in general because it's like just anything to take that next step and work with the studio. So
Airbud 7, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
It'll be 6, but sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's just a shame, because Air Bud was the dog from Full House. The original Air Bud was.
I bet you
he died
right
after the premiere. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. So, any advice for people getting into, the filmmaking industry?
From me, honestly, just when you're starting off, keep your ideas simple, and work with people, friends. Like even if they don't know filmmaking stuff, you can all learn together because then it's less pressure and you're having fun. I think a lot of people make mistakes where, I'm going to make a feature film. It's my first feature film, and I'm going to spend $500,000, and somehow they get that money, and then their film makes like $500, and they're like disheartened. So I think just keeping it super simple, have fun with it.
I think just making movies. Yeah, you get a lot of people reach out to us. It's weird because people reach out for advice, and it's always I've been working on this script for this long, and it's kind of like, as Randy said, keep it simple. If you've been working on it that long, that's probably not the right script. My biggest advice to anyone who's writing is have the locations before you write the film or the story. We're we had the school for infrared before we wrote infrared. We had this amazing location available that we were able to get, that we could afford. And so we shot that. We shot The Other Girl. We had that. The Christmas tapes before, we wrote things that we knew we would get access to. It's like, just I think that is really, really is like the best bit of advice I can give if you don't have money. It's like, if you have access to certain locations, write your films around those, because then they won't cost you anything.
And I think don't be a perfectionist, because a lot of people and I used to be kind of like that, but if you're a perfectionist, often what's going to happen, you're going to be sitting around for 10 years like, I'm just waiting for that perfect idea, while your friends are out there just making films, having fun, and they're actually doing stuff. So
right.
That's also probably why it took us 3 years to make a film. And then we got to a point where we were stuck with limitations. So we had to fulfill that. We had to work within those limitations. And because of that, we were able to make our first movie and then kick it off from there. So
nice. All right, you guys ready for your random horror trivia?
Oh no.
This will be for let's make this one for Rob. So, what holiday themed movie featured a crazed miner and a pickaxe?
Oh, My Bloody Valentine.
Yes. All right, Randy.
Amazing remake.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Randy. What 2008 movie starring Bradley Cooper featured a killer known as Mahogany who mutilated victims in a subway car?
Can I give him a hint?
Go on.
Vinnie Jones.
Yep.
Fucking hell! I didn't even know they made a film together.
Leslie Bibb.
I don't know.
Midnight Meat Train.
Yes.
Oh,
You should
okay,
check that out. If you've not
curious.
watched it, absolutely check it out.
That is atmosphere at its best. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Midnight Meat Train. I'm gonna write that down.
Oh yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Vinny has the best lines ever.
None.
None. All right. Well, give us your pluggables, gentlemen. Where can we find you and your guys' work to let everyone know? I'll start with you, Rob.
woofcatfilms.com is you're going to find access to all of our films, whether it's Blu-rays, Tubi links, Amazon links, whatever. But yeah, our films are on Prime. They're on Tubi. They're like the best two to promote. But yeah, they're like Roku, Google Play. They're across the board, Screenbox, and all that. And then Randy can give you the social media stuff.
Perfect.
Yes.
I was hoping for that. So you can find us on Instagram at WoofCatFilms. We usually post. We post regularly. Give you updates, new stuff that's happening with our films. Yeah. So that's where we're most active.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, people ask about Blu-rays and sweaters and stuff. I'm actually wearing one now. Christmas tape.
Ooh, nice.
You can find that on our website. There's a section that says store, and we also give out autographed Blu-rays, so you can reach out to us, and we are more than happy to accompany.
You're gonna kind of like message us about those ones, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you have them on VHS?
We have VHS.
I actually just ordered a few more copies today. I didn't tell Randy that. Yeah, because we've been selling them at the Dreamland Cinema, and for some reason people are buying them. But these are the two covers that we have. We've got like the throwback one, and then we've got like the standard one that you're used to. But yeah, these are available on VHS, but you need to kind of reach out to us personally, and I can put you in the right direction. They're also available from. These ones are from Undead Video, but then also Retro Video Release. They've got their version as well. You can buy yours on their website. They're really cool guys. Everyone, like the guys at them and them are cool. It's just depending on which cover you like, I guess, versus whether you get it. The one from Undead is pan and scanned. That's the difference between the two. So
sweet. I'll have to get some VHS because I am an avid old school, video collector. I have a lot of laser discs, so my office computers. We have a huge collection of horror laser discs. It's absolutely a blast. I love collecting stuff like that. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone. So just quick outro here for me. I'm Gary. You can follow us on all social media at Pod Out at Night. We have new episodes coming of our podcast every Wednesday at ComicConRadio.com. Make sure to check that out and stay tuned for every new show, Conversations Void, every Wednesday. Yeah, and follow us everywhere and get all the things. So as new subs that we have, the more horror swag we're going to give away. We have signed autographs. We have movies to give away, old and new. So make sure to check that out. And thank you again to Rob and Randy for coming on. And we'll see you next time. And don't get lost in the void. Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.